All right, gang, welcome. A whole slew of people this morning, this afternoon, depending upon where you are in this world, country. I'm Chris Vogel. I'm the president-elect of the Atlanta Area Evaluation Association, and I am leading today's January Journal Club. Let me share my screen. That might be helpful. Share. And then I'll pull it over here, slideshow from the beginning. Hopefully everybody can see that. If not, throw a chat my way and we'll fix it. So, like always with every month, the whole point of this is just to have a really short time in your day to hear about some new piece of literature in the evaluation world. Oh, let me go back. Sorry. I did unmute myself, right? Yes, good. Just checking. So yeah, just to take 20 minutes out of your day to hopefully come and leave with one big, I think in this one we have three big takeaways from some new piece of literature in the evaluation community. So hopefully we do that and we do it well. As you saw from the invite, today we're doing Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, maybe, applying business management approaches to independent evaluation consulting. This came from the newest New Directions in Evaluation by Matt Feldmann of Goshen Consulting. Before we even get into the main topics, and I should say that I'll present on the three main topics, and then I have a couple discussion questions, but feel free to interject any time. This isn't really a formal deal, so much as a learning opportunity. But besides the three main books he talks about in this article, he also presented these additional resources for independent consultants, and I just thought I'd give a shout out to these really quick. The Consulting Startup and Management, this is Gail Barrington's, I'd call it seminal work. I'm still waiting on mine from Sage after the AaEA conference, but I know everybody loves it and they keep recommending it to me. The Independent Consulting Topical Interest Group from AaEA, they seem to be fairly active with their own Facebook group. They also, I tried to go to this was the very last one, the AaEA Post a Message link. I tried to go to that and I put it in there just in case I'm missing something, but it was cited in the article as a place that you could post a message to other independent consultants in that TIG, but for some reason it wasn't working for me. But apparently there is some function the TIG has to contact just the TIG as opposed to all of EvalTalk, but EvalTalk's pretty common as well. And then AaEA 365. That's just a great resource in general, but especially when the independent consultants have their TIG week in there. So with that in mind, the article really focuses on three books, or three different main topics from each of these books. And I think the article itself is really well written in this. He makes a story about this evaluator named Amy, who's an independent consultant who tries to take away these big messages from each of these books and apply it. So I'm not going into Amy's fictional story, even though it's interesting, at least how it's presented, but instead what these main points are. So the first one I'm going to hop into, this is the Collins 2011 book, where Matt really focuses on this idea of the hedgehog concept. And if you ever take one of his workshops at AaEA, he also spends a little bit of time talking about this as well. That this concept is the clear identification of a niche or business practice that reflects the previous three concepts. And then I have these concepts listed below. In total, there's 5 that he lists, well, Collins lists as key concepts for, besides consultants, just people running a business in general. So that he has this idea of a level 5 leader, that they have extreme personal humility with an intense professional will that's dedicated to the organization. And then identifying the best suited person to be employed by the organization, and be really mindful of what roles fit their strength and who is not suited for the organization. And really the hedgehog concept focuses on this last idea a lot, that this toward doing what you do well and stop doing what is not productive. The hedgehog concept gets its name from an old Greek fable about that there's a fox and a hedgehog, and a fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows how to do one thing really well, or one big thing. And the author Collins, not Feldman, has this graphic for it, in that once you go down this path of that you have a leader that's really dedicated to it, that you have the right people doing what they're supposed to be doing, that you confront what your organization should be doing, what they're not good at. It goes along this continuum that first you get the disciplined people in there, and then with the disciplined thought, that this seems to be about the area where you can get a breakthrough with your organization to really start taking it to that next level. And really with the hedgehog concept, this culture of discipline they talk about, which is like a fanatical adherence to the business approach. Well, whatever that business approach is, be really focused on that. And then finally, to look for technology accelerators, those things that can help expand opportunities within whatever domain you're in, and that it's a cyclical action here, that it just doesn't end once you find that one technology accelerator, or even just those right people at that one time, that the disciplined action leads to more disciplined people, which leads to more disciplined thought. Hopefully you can just continue to make breakthroughs in it. And then I liked this one. Maybe it's because I enjoy the simplicity of Venn diagrams too much, but that really, once you get the hedgehog concept, you sit in this middle zone here between what you are deeply passionate about, what you can be the best in the world at, and what drives your economic engine. So in terms of independent consulting, it sounds like, evaluate those programs or be involved with those organizations that you genuinely care about, that you become passionate about, and that you're using your skills to the best of your ability, and that hopefully there's funding for it, something to keep the lights on and the doors open. Hey, I'll throw out a discussion question now, apparently. Are there additional components or special considerations of these pieces that you all think are important in independent consulting or evaluation work more generally? Are there other things that you think make independent evaluation consultants successful and their business thrive? And they can be guesses. I don't. And I'll go back here. No additional components? Okay. Well, if you think of something, feel free to shout it out. I was an independent consultant many years ago before I went the internal route, and it seemed pretty accurate. The one piece I'd say, and it might not even need to be encapsulated in this, as it's not a big thing, but besides having the right people working for you, it's really knowing the right people, this idea of networking. But we'll get into that with the third one, actually. So Crossing the Chasm was a book by Moore, I'm forgetting his first name, where they talked really about this diffusion bell curve. A few authors have talked about this in different realms, but so hopefully it's not too new for anybody. But that along the diffusion of any sort of technology, there's generally a bell curve breakdown of how people adopt to it. There's the innovators, the people that are actually making the new technology, the early adopters, the people that are always on the lookout for it and try to adopt it just to see if it meets a need or because they're interested. And then the early majority, those people that hop on quite early. The late majority, these are folks that need proof of its efficacy, that it needs to be really easy to use. And then the laggards are the people that rarely use the technology or don't hop on it until the very end, until your work makes you start using email. Which I still meet people like that every once in a while. But anyway, but for independent consulting, in evaluation, Feldman makes the case that a lot of it can exist within this chasm here, that as an independent consultant, it doesn't really help you to even be an early majority, let alone a late majority, that you have to keep figuring out ways to leverage new technology and new before your competitors do or other industries do to help serve your clients better. So how could you use just throwing stuff out here, but machine learning to sift through large amounts of data. How can you better use online or even mobile surveying tools to meet and survey hard to reach populations? So always being on the lookout for that, you know. I keep thinking of using apps. So what Kylie Hutchinson has that evaluation glossary app that I really like. But anyway, just you can't sit on your laurels. One needs to be constantly looking for new technologies to adapt and help hopefully save you time and your customers money and being better at the evaluation work you do. And this is the third book. The author's on the first page, but I didn't, or the first slide I didn't add it here. But this last book is devoted entirely to networking, and here Feldmann expounds on the notion of how important networking is. And these were the three big takeaways that he had from the book that he felt evaluation consultants should keep in mind. One, this idea of not keeping score in terms of networking. You know, it doesn't really help you that much probably to keep thinking of, oh, I met with this person and gave them advice, so now they owe me one, or I network a lot, so maybe I can cut back on it now. And instead be very generous with your time, because there are so many connections that come with that. So much one can learn from meeting other people. Yeah, that's all I'll say about it. There's a interesting social psychology concept called idiosyncratic credits that made me think of this, where social interactions, a lot of the time, it's like our gut reaction is to essentially make fictitious credits for interacting with people. And so to try to break that down. I should have looked up how to pronounce this word just in case I'm wrong. Social arbitrage. This is the process of becoming indispensable to the people around you, especially for the value you may provide to their association through your skill sets, contacts, understanding of the service, whatever it is. That they need to see you as an expert in some time.
Hi, I don't know if it's just my mic, but if anybody's still speaking, I'm unable to hear.
I'm unable to hear as well.
Same here. Mine just went out.
I'm guessing he may not be able to make it back on, and somehow I have become the host of the meeting. There's 2 minutes left. I don't know if anyone had any particular point they wanted to share about the article or question or something interesting you observed. Otherwise, we can just end. Tim said in the chat, there's other great articles and new directions for evaluation. International development consultants. That's interesting. I saw this special issue is all on the topic of independent consultants. So I was looking forward to looking at the rest of the table of contents for that. So thanks, Tim. Has anyone else found any good resources that they could share with the group? I think if we're all here, we were interested in that topic. So actually, at the beginning of the call, I went ahead and ordered the book that was mentioned. Does anyone in this group actually do independent consulting?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Cassandra Davis. I have been doing some independent consulting with a couple of different organizations over the past couple of years. But I was interested in this journal club because I'm really trying to figure out how to connect with other independent consultants and also just really kind of get my name out there in that way. And I know that networking is like a really big part of it, but I also think that there's some strategies in networking that I would love to learn more about.
Awesome. Thanks, Cassandra. I do know, I've talked to Chris about this, that hopefully AaEA will have more opportunities like you're mentioning for those who are interested. But I don't have any details specifically on what those might be. I'm sure they'll send them via email.
Okay, thank you.
I think this was supposed to go to 1:20, right? So we're at that time. If anyone else has anything they want to share or comment on, otherwise I will end the meeting. Okay, well, great. Thanks, everyone. And perhaps we'll get more from Chris later. Hope everyone has a great day.